Do you have a true story you want to send my way? Maybe your own complex, crazy, terrifying, whatever you want to call it, glitch in the Matrix? Go to astheravendreams.com/submit or check them links down below. Thank you. So, first of all, I would like to apologize for my crappy English and possible grammar mistakes in advance. I'm an 18-year-old male, and about a week ago, the craziest and most unexplainable thing happened to me. I'm on a vacation in Italy as of now, and because it gets so hot out here, people usually take naps from 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. when the temperature is the highest. This little nap time, called siesta, because people have to have dinner way later in the day, usually from 10 p.m. until around midnight, I would say. Anyways, my parents, siblings, and I were having dinner at the beach around 11 p.m., so it was dark outside. The only thing lighting up the beach was the light that came from the beach bar that we were eating at. A lot of people seemed to smoke in bars or pubs here. Even though I'm kind of quitting, I'll shamefully admit that I desired a cigarette. The plan was to ask a stranger, but I didn't want my parents to see what I was up to, so I made an excuse, telling them I was going for a walk on the beach while we waited to be served, secretly hoping someone on the beach could give me a cigarette. They excused me, and I got up as I walked out of the bar onto the beach. I remember the Queen song fading in the background as I scanned the beach for anyone smoking a cigarette. Like I said, it was late at night and the seawater was probably too cold already, so I wasn't surprised when I noticed there was nobody out on the beach anymore. I walked a little further on the beach when I noticed a light coming from behind a tall dune. I figured this could be a bar or a disco, so I started walking toward the dune, being pretty confident that someone over there would lend me a smoke. Eventually, I got up to the dune when my whole body froze. I kid you not, this was the same bar I thought I came from. I literally saw my parents talking to my siblings, proving that this wasn't just another bar that looked exactly the same. No, this was the same bar that I just came from. Not fully understanding what was going on, I turned around to be hit with even more confusion. All I was staring at was a dark, empty beach. Not a single light anywhere. I remember thinking, there's no way that I walked in a circle. I followed the waves of the ocean, so there's no way that I rotated in any way to get me back here. I quickly walked to the table where my family sat, still confused what was going on, when my mom noticed me and said something along the lines of, "Well, that was a short walk." I walked back out on the beach, but at this time there wasn't any light or tall dune further up the beach. I told my family the story in a "you won't believe what happened to me" way, but they laughed it off and continued their conversation. I remember just sitting at the table when I thought to myself, I think I just witnessed one of those glitch in the Matrix moments like on YouTube and Reddit. And to this day, I still have no clue what happened. The only explanation is that I somehow looped on the beach. I went to go check one more time after we finished eating to make sure I wasn't tripping, but again, no tall dune and no light up ahead. I had the strangest experience with my nose ring a few months back that I still to this day cannot explain. It might not be crazy interesting, and it's a bit long-winded, but I have no logical answer. To preface this story, my job doesn't allow us to wear jewelry during shift, so for a while I was wearing a wonky nose hoop that didn't fully shut, which made it easier to take off before shifts each day. I had lost it a few times, while sleeping, but I always found it next to me within seconds. One morning, I woke up and felt that my nose ring was missing, so I pawed around as usual until I could feel it. However, this time, it wasn't there. After sweeping my arm multiple times under my pillow and nearby blankets with nothing, I decided to open my eyes and actually start ripping the bed apart. My partner, who was heading out, wished me luck as she couldn't continue to help. I threw off the pillows, pulled back the covers, nothing. I even stood up and flicked up each blanket layer, shaking each one at a time, patting them down and expecting to hear a clink as the piercing hit the floor, but nothing. After moving the bed frame, sweeping the entire room, which was quite small, really only enough for a queen mattress and a few longboards, I returned empty-handed. I ended up rebuilding my room, moved the frame back, put on each sheet, pillow, etc., until the room looked exactly as it had. But still no nose ring. I was really frustrated after spending an hour to no avail, and I called my partner to let her know it was gone. She found it as strange as I did, but suggested grabbing a box from the closet that might have an old nose hoop in it until we could buy a new one. After we hung up and I grabbed the box from the closet, I turned around to sit on the bed and stopped dead in my tracks. That stupid nose ring was back. It was right on top of the crease-free top sheet, dead center of the bed, and shining in the sun. My nose ring was back. There is no way that I could have missed it, and no way it could have even gotten there on its own after I rebuilt the bed. It was as if someone had placed it perfectly on top to taunt me, after watching me search relentlessly. I swear it must have teleported for an hour or glitched somewhere else during that time. It genuinely creeped me out, and when I told my partner, she couldn't think of a possible explanation either. I've never had an issue since, but I'll never forget how genuinely perplexed I was. Hello everyone. I have an odd story that happened a few years ago, but I've never been able to figure this out. I used to have a Juul vape, and for anyone who has or had one, you know there's a series of numbers on the back. These numbers are an easy way to differentiate yours from others. I remember the last 3 digits on my Juul being XGY. There was also a few distinct scratches on the back side. One night, I got up off my bed and had forgotten that my Juul was on my lap. As I stood up, I watched the vape fall to the floor, hit the floor, and slide forward about 3 feet underneath the blanket that was on the floor. I also heard it as it happened. I bent down, put my hand under the blanket. Nothing. I picked the blanket up. Nothing. At this point, I was confused, so I shook the blanket out completely and even checked for holes, in case the vape slid inside. Sure enough, I spent the next hour and a half searching my entire room for this damn Juul. I eventually convinced myself that I just ended up losing it even more throughout the process of looking for it, if that makes sense. My brother was with me the entire time, and he even saw me drop it. He also helped me look for it, but it was gone. The next day, I figured it would show up eventually, but I bought a new one anyways, even though I shouldn't have. Later that evening, I met up with a friend to hang out. I asked him if I could hit his vape, and sure enough, it was my vape that I dropped. Same exact XGY ending of the digits. Same scratches on the back of the vape. I was so insanely confused as to how this could be. I was trying to think how he could have gotten my vape, but it just made zero sense at all. I explained to him what was happening, and he had no clue what I was talking about. He said, "I've had this one for a while now." However, I know for a fact that was my vape that I dropped and lost just the day before. He wasn't at my house, so there's no way he should have ended up with it. Later that night, when my brother and I returned home, there was another jewel laying on the floor. Not my new one, not the old one, not my brother's, not our buddies, no one's. No idea where it came from or how the hell it even got there. My brother and I were pretty creeped out at this point. I remember tossing the random one into a drawer and just brushed it all off as me losing my mind. This event still sits in the back of my mind, and after finding this subreddit, I'm convinced it was a glitch. I live in a small city that's mostly covered in concrete, apart from a couple patches of nature here and there. In the summer of 2015, I decided to have a picnic by myself. I found a perfect place nearby. It was a big square of grass by a riverbank that also has a pond with frogs and fish. The meadow is surrounded by the river on one side, a street on the opposite side, and trees separating it from the neighboring houses. There are a couple of trees and some bushes right by the river, too. I chose a spot almost in the middle of the meadow. I didn't want to be close to the cars, houses, and I didn't want to fall into the overgrown river either. The picnic was going great. I had some music playing. It was very hot, so I took off my shirt to try and catch some rays. I was located so that the river was to my right side, and the road was to my left. After a while, I heard a rustle behind me. I didn't want to find out that I was trespassing or bothering someone with my music, so I turned my head to the left, and it was a 30-something heavy-set man, wearing white shorts and a blue t-shirt with a red and white logo. He was walking about 5 meters behind me, heading toward the river, so he disappeared behind me. I've decided to put my shirt back on in case he comes over to talk to me. I did so, and then I looked back to see where he was, but there was nobody there, other than a yellowish dog heading towards the river. At first, I didn't find it strange. I just got up because I didn't want to risk getting my face bitten by some dog. I started to pack up and noticed that there was no man in sight. The nearest tree, it must have been at least 100 meters away. It was just a big, completely flat meadow. After packing up, I felt a little courageous and slowly approached the place where the dog went. It was trying to pull something large and heavy out of the river. I didn't see what it was because of the bushes, but I could see it struggling to pick it up and hear the heavy sound the thing was making against the bank. I just went home afterwards. Not frightened, but a little intrigued. It's just a little contribution from me. It could have been nothing, a hallucination caused by the hot weather, but I've never experienced anything like that before, or afterwards. It was so vivid, I can even still see the outfit that he was wearing. Just a quick warning, this story does mention a suicide attempt, so go to the timestamps down below if you'd rather not hear about that. I know the duplication of objects is not an uncommon scenario that people share on this sub, but I thought I would share my little story. So, my mother has this black leather jacket, authentic cow leather, custom made in East Africa from back in the early 80s. It has a belt loop on each side of the waist. Only one belt was made for it, although it looks more like a leather rope as it has no buckle or holes, and it's only adjustable by tying a knot on the front. When I was 16, my mother let me keep this leather jacket. She claimed that she had outgrown it and hadn't worn it in over 2 decades. I must admit, it's still the coolest looking garment that I own. When I was 19, I had used this particular belt for a partial suspension hanging. What I was going through at the time is irrelevant to this story. This belt couldn't be mistaken for any other belt, and I had found that it worked best as the knot I had tied had a tight grip on the rail in my wardrobe, which was very sturdy. Evidently, my plan came to naught, and I tried to untie the belt knot from the rail, but it was to no avail because of how tight it was, so I just left it there, ignoring the noose that hung against my clothing. Kinda morbid, but eventually it didn't bother me. Nobody else knew about it either. About a month ago, I was looking for a belt to wear with my corduroy trousers, and as I'm rummaging through my drawer, I pull out the leather belt. I'm stunned because my first thought is that my mother must have found it in my wardrobe, untied it, and put it in my drawer, but the belt looked fresh. No wrinkles from where the knot would have been. I opened my wardrobe, and the noose was still there, between my clothing. I'm now analyzing both of them, and they are identical. I thought it was weird, so I asked my mother if the jacket came with two belts by any chance, and she said no, with full certainty. I've pondered the quantum immortality theory, where I may have actually committed suicide in an alternate timeline, which led to me being transported to a timeline where I didn't do it, but who knows? This is probably not an exciting story, but it's strange enough to share. Last year, my roommate and I were searching for a new place to rent. And that day, we looked at 5 houses and still didn't find one that we liked. Our agent knew that we had to move out ASAP, so she was looking through her sources and found one last house for us to look at. This particular house was last on her list because all the clients she showed the house to didn't like it. So, she thought to not bother with it. It was a little further away. She sent us the information, and we drove out to look at it. As it turns out, that house was the one that we liked. There was a den to the left as we walked in. There was a loft on the second floor to the left of the stairs. The master bedroom was across from the loft on the right side of the stairs. We signed the paperwork and were ready to move in within 48 hours. On the day of the move, we go to the house to drop off a few boxes before heading out to pick up the rental truck. As we entered the house, everything felt strange the moment we stood at the entrance. It did not look like the house that we saw 2 days ago. The den was now on the right as we walked in. The loft upstairs was now on the right side of the stairs as well. The master bedroom is to the left across from the loft. Basically, the entire floor plan was flipped, opposite of what we had seen just 2 days ago. We are sure and can confirm it's the correct address. We know for sure it's the house that we looked at, because it's across from a dog park and there's a red fire hydrant in front of the driveway. I know I wasn't losing my mind, or that I forgot the layout of the house. My roommate confirmed. She too is confused about the floor plan to this house, that it was flipped around. We called our agent and asked her if she remembered seeing the den to the left or the right, and she said the den is on the right. We originally saw it on the left, so that didn't really help our case at all. I don't understand it. Either way, we still did like the house, even though the floor plan just flipped around. We're still living in this house now. This isn't too crazy, but it's the second time something like this has happened in the past year. I ran out of shampoo and conditioner, so I grabbed some travel bottles from my closet to hold me over until I could go to the store and get more. I grabbed a shampoo and conditioner, and I used them like normal. I remember noticing the shampoo was opaque and had, glitter in it, and the conditioner was clearish. The next time I took a shower, I still had some in the travel bottles, so I used those again. The third time I took a shower, I used the shampoo again and then reached for the conditioner, but grabbed the shampoo by what I thought was a mistake. I grabbed the other bottle, and it was a shampoo too. Both bottles were shampoo and had shampoo inside, the opaque look with glitter in it. I thought this was really weird because I distinctly remember the other 2 times using both shampoo and conditioner, and they were the only 2 bottles in there. They were also part of a travel pack and not just bottles from a hotel or anything, so the pack definitely came with a shampoo and a conditioner, not 2 bottles of shampoo. The other thing that was kind of like this experience was I bought a pimple popping kit online that came with 1 of each tool. I know it came with 1 of each tool because I used it for about a year and used it nearly every night. One night, I was using it, and I noticed there was a second one of my most used tool that was identical to it, including the little notch in the same place. I definitely would have known if there were 2 of them since I used the set pretty much every day. The second one has been there since then, so I don't really know what else to say about that one. Like I said, nothing too crazy, but I just thought I would share if anyone had any insight or something similar that happened to them. So that was this week's Glitch in the Matrix collection of Glitch in the Matrix stories. It's a true glitch in the Matrix. Glitch in the Matrix. Glitch in the Matrix. Glitch in the Matrix. I'm trying to get the algorithm to understand this is a glitch in the Matrix video, so saying it a billion times will work, right? No, probably not. Okay. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit that thumbs up button. Leave me a comment letting me know what you thought. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. And if you want to support the channel further by hitting join down below or going to patreon.com/astheravendreams for as little as $1 a month. That's $1 a month. That's pretty cheap. It's like 3 cents a day, slightly more than that. Anyway, you can get early access to all of my content so long as I'm ahead. Typically, I'm ahead. Sometimes I fall behind. Today I fell behind, but we don't go there. I'm going to start saying you're going to get access up to 24 hours early. That way it's a little easier to meet, and everyone's happy, copacetic, and such. Since it's been so long since my last Glitch in the Matrix video, we're going to start fresh with a new word of the week, and I will say thank you to everyone who left me a word on the last one. I'm sorry things didn't go as I planned, but yeah, we'll start new. So this week's word of the week is faded. And that's right, faded. Verb used without object. It means to lose brightness or vividness of color, or to become dim as light or lose brightness of illumination, or to cause to fade. In a non-physical sense, something can fade that is like a feeling or an emotion, such as over time, my love for hot dogs has faded. I don't know. I never really liked hot dogs, so I don't really think that works for me. Anyway, if you have a sentence you want to drop down below, faded is the word. I would appreciate it. They will be featured in the next Glitch in the Matrix video. Again, kind of starting fresh. So anyways, I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I hope that you're having a great Labor Day if you celebrate Labor Day. If you're in part of the world that does, I think that's just the U.S., but I don't really know. I'm sorry. I'm out. I'm sorry. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Until then, sleep well.